Where's the blue? So these are different districts. Now the thing is, I mean, there will be more people concentrated in urban areas. So, you know, this district here is bigger than this one here, but they might have the same, or this district might have more people. Population density is not uniform throughout Texas. All right, hang on. I'm just waiting here to see. Again, we're supposed to get a press conference from Texas Democrats in Illinois, I believe with Governor Pritzker. I'm hoping to have footage of that I can show you. That has not started yet. It's supposed to start soon. Some Texas House members have been posting messages today, posting videos about leaving the state. So here's a post from James Tallarico, who says, "My Democratic colleagues and I just left the state of Texas to break quorum and stop Trump's redistricting power grab. Trump," he says, "is trying to rig the midterm elections right before our eyes, but first he'll have to come through us. It's time to fight back." Here's what Texas State House Representative James Tallarico had to say.
This is State Representative James Tallarico from Texas. If you're seeing this video, my Democratic colleagues and I have just left our beloved state to break quorum and stop Trump's redistricting power grab. Trump told our Republican colleagues to redraw the political maps here in Texas in the middle of the decade to get him 5 more seats and protect his majority in Congress. They're turning our districts into crazy shapes to guarantee the outcome they want in the 2026 elections. If this power grab succeeds, they will hang on to power without any accountability from the voters. But Texas Democrats are fighting back. We're leaving the state, breaking quorum, and preventing Republicans from silencing our voices and rigging the next election. We are not fighting for the Democratic Party. We are fighting for the democratic process, and the stakes could not be higher. We have to take a stand. This is State.
Now, as I said, I'm not aware that Texas state Republicans are having a press conference tonight. If I find out there are, I'll show that too. So I was giving you an example of one of the Democrats. There he is at the airport. Although he says if you're seeing this, it sounds like he recorded the message in advance and had it ready to go in case they left. But that's just an example of, he's one of the House Republicans in Texas who have left the state. All right, hold on a minute here. By the way, President Trump is returning from a weekend in New Jersey. His plane, I think, just landed in Maryland at Joint Base Andrews. All right, give me a moment here. I wonder if this thing, all right, it's currently 9 Eastern Time, almost 9 Eastern Time, 8 Central Time. One of our viewers thought that this press conference had been rescheduled to 8:15 Central Time. So maybe that's what happened. I'm not sure. But there's a podium there. So I'm hoping to be able to bring that to you. Our viewer Just Josh writes in and says, "Democrats redraw the lines whenever they can. There is nothing new here. The party in power always does this. Today's trip to Chicago isn't an act of bravery, it's a circus," our viewer Just Josh says. The Smiling Angel Lowell says this brings back memories of a debacle in Wisconsin several years ago where Democrats fled the state while Governor Walker, Republican, was enacting reformative policies that they staunchly disagreed with. I don't remember the details of that, but thank you for writing in the Smiling Angel. Thanks also to Bullshod, who thinks redistricting is a sound idea that will benefit both parties. Thanks for your support. Thank you, Andrew Schlegel, who says, this is what fighting for democracy looks like, running away? Andrew thinks Democrats are fleeing because they don't like the outcome. Thank you, Lucia Horizo, who says for 4 years the Democrats had a corpse and could have run wild with everything. It's pure freakout mode now that there is finally someone in charge. That's what Lucia says. Thank you, Lucia, for your support. Oregon guy is thinking that Gavin criticized Republicans in Oregon when they fled the state. There. I don't remember that incident, so I don't know. And I don't know what Gavin Newsom said about that. I do not know, Oregon guy, but thank you. Carter Davis, our viewer, said he thinks that the Texas Democrats are being misleading. The special session was not for flood relief. It was regarding THC bans in the state. Flood relief was included with the agenda the governor released, but it is not and never was about flood relief. That's what Carter says. I don't know that they've specifically said it's about. I don't know if the Democrats' complaint is that it's about flood relief or that flood relief was put in there. Maybe we can get some more specifics about what Texas House Democrats are saying about this. Thank you, Carter Davis. Carter thinks that federal agents cannot force the Republicans, the Democrats, to go back to Texas because there's no federal crime for breaking a quorum. I have no idea. As I mentioned, according to the New York Times, some Texas House Democrats are worried that President Trump might try to use federal agents to bring them back to Texas. I don't know if there's a legal basis to do that. It's a good question. Thanks, Carter, for writing in. We're waiting for this press conference with the House Democrats in Illinois. We are waiting for it. I'm hoping to be able to show it to you. While we wait for that, let me give you some more details here. Again, Texas House Democrats have fled the state to block Republicans from redrawing the congressional map to add more GOP seats and take away seats from Democrats. We're talking about Congress seats in Texas. The Washington Post says, before Texas lawmakers unveiled their new map, Trump said he favored a very simple redrawing that would give Republicans more seats. He said, we pick up 5 seats in Texas, but we have a couple other states where we'll pick up seats also, he told reporters. Texas Representative Todd Hunter, Republican, the sponsor of the legislation to draw the new map, called the Republican proposal a good plan for Texas that would give his party more seats in Congress. The primary changes are focused on 5 districts for partisan purposes, he said in committee. All states must draw new district lines at the beginning of each decade to account for population shifts identified by the U.S. Census, which happens once every 10 years. Where they place the lines can greatly favor one party over the other. Most states give legislators the power to draw the districts, but 8 states use independent commissions in hopes of preventing partisan power grabs, says the Post. After the 2020 census, Texas Republicans focused on keeping incumbents safe. Their current plan to redraw district lines in the middle of a decade is unusual, and Republicans are open about using their power to stave off potential losses during the midterm elections, which historically have gone against the sitting president's party. Republicans hold a 219 to 212 majority in the U.S. House with 4 vacancies, and any cushion could protect their ability to deliver on Trump's agenda. His signature tax and immigration bill squeezed through the chamber 218 to 214. Governor Gavin Newsom of California has said he is working on a plan to shift Republican districts in California to the left if Texas adopts a new map. In a dig at the GOP, Newsom reposted a map Friday on X from another user that showed all 52 of California's congressional districts could be drawn to favor Democrats, likely wiping out the re-election chances of the 9 Republicans who represent the state. Enacting a new map in California is not as easy as it is in Texas because the California Constitution requires that a nonpartisan commission establish districts. Newsom has said he wants to call a special election in November to get approval from California voters to change the state's election map for 2026, 2028, and 2030 if Texas changes their map. I also want to add this from the Washington Post. Republicans and Democrats alike engaged in gerrymandering in some states in the most recent round of redistricting. Illinois, the new temporary home for Texas Democrats, has a map that received an F from the Princeton Gerrymandering Project because it is so heavily skewed toward Democrats. Gerrymandering is when you adjust the districts to favor one party or the other. Again, shortly we are supposed to have a press conference from the Texas House Republicans who have fled and are in Illinois. And I am hoping to bring that to you, and I keep checking for it to start, but it has not started yet. JLR viewer thinks Democrats have gerrymandered California, Illinois, Maryland, and others. Patrick thinks all gerrymandering should be stopped. Tennessee Tornado says you can't lose if you don't stay and fight. Cowards run. Marin Gobras says gerrymandering is whack. Some prominent Democrats are saying that Democrats need to do the same in other states if, by the way, Republicans do this in, say, Texas. For example, Governor Tim Walz, the Democratic nominee for vice president last year, said if Texas changes its map, Democrats need to do the same wherever they can. He said it's a terrible spot we're in as a country, but not responding is going to make it even worse. The Post says changing maps in states led by Democrats is difficult. Well, at least in some states led by Democrats. For example, in Kansas Governor Laura Kelly, Kansas Governor Laura Kelly, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, and Tony Evers of Wisconsin, all Democrats, appeared at an event with the governors of Kentucky and Rhode Island, and all 5 governors are in charge of states where there appear to be few options for adding Democratic seats. So it depends on the state and what the situation is in this particular state. Republicans hold majorities in the legislatures of Kansas, Kentucky, and Wisconsin, for example. Minnesota's courts will not allow gerrymandering in Minnesota. All right. It is currently 8:10 p.m. Central Time. sometime soon, we are expecting, as I keep saying, it was supposed to be 7:15 Central Time originally, but it hasn't happened yet, a press conference from the Texas House Democrats. Let me just see if I have any updates for you. Give me 2 seconds here. Yes, this press conference is supposed to be in Illinois. Oh, Oregon guy says he was saying that Gavin Newsom did not compliment Republicans for displaying what democracy looked like when they fled Oregon. That's what Oregon guy claims, our viewer. Yeah, here one of our viewers wanted to see these maps again. I'm not an expert on these maps, but here is the Washington Post graphic showing the two different maps, the current one and the proposed one. Right here. That's the current and proposed maps. So you can see they're not exactly the same. I'm not an expert on how they all differ. Eric Zimmerman thinks the gloves are off now. I'm seeing some people on the screen, but no press conference yet. Now, the other thing about this is, so, look, there's going to be a lot more people where the cities are. So, you know, you could draw, I'm guessing when you start messing with the lines near the cities, that can be big shifts of people. But when you look at it at this scale, it might not look that big at this scale. Because this is a state, this is not a close-up, this map. I mean, you can see, so for example, if you look down here, see how Austin, clearly the map is different here in Austin and Austin. But it's not going to be really visible on up here. And same San Antonio, you see that's there's clearly some differences there, probably differences in all these areas that are in the circles. Exville says they chop up parts of the city with huge plots of land. The Post also says Texas map would add 5 safe Republican seats, what it means for the midterms. With control of the narrowly divided U.S. House hanging in the balance of the 2026 midterm elections, Republicans in Texas, at the urging of President Trump, unveiled their opening proposal Wednesday to redraw district boundaries that would give them 5 more safely red seats. The GOP-led state legislature, which is convened in a special session to draft the plans and address this summer's deadly flooding in the state, released the preliminary maps after days of contentious hearings. In response, now this article is from days ago. In response, what's happened today is Texas House Democrats have left the state. So there are not enough people to hold a vote in the Texas House. Democrats also have threatened to retaliate elsewhere against Republicans by adding Democratic seats in their states. Texas Republicans have sought to portray their efforts as typical. Democrats in the state and beyond have decried the unusual mid-decade redistricting attempt as a partisan power grab to tilt the midterm elections so the GOP can hang on to its control of Congress. Redrawing of maps typically takes place after the U.S. Census Bureau finishes its once-a-decade population count and can dramatically alter the balance of power between political parties. Rules for redrawing the lines vary by state, and in Texas, legislators control the process. Okay, let me just kind of skim through here. So in the new maps, Republicans would be likely to win 30 seats in the state rather than 25. 4 of the 5 potential GOP pickups have Hispanic majorities, says the Washington Post. What do Republicans say about them? Publicly Texan Republican lawmakers have downplayed their plans, saying they are responding to a request from Governor Abbott to reconsider the maps they drew after the 2020 census. After that census, Republicans largely played it safe and tried to protect incumbents. Texas Democrats have decried the moves as a power grab and accused Republicans of violating the Voting Rights Act, a 1965 law meant to ensure Black and Latino communities can elect candidates of their choosing. Texas Democrats are promising to fight, but they have little power to stop the redistricting efforts because Republicans control both legislative chambers in Texas. But again, they have now fled the state, which at least temporarily is stopping any vote on this. What are the national implications? Republicans are defending a slim majority in next year's elections. Historical trends in Trump's low approval rating, that's according to the Washington Post, suggest the midterms could be challenging for the GOP, and any redrawing of maps in a way that favors one side could have far-reaching impacts. Republicans control both chambers of Congress, and losing either one could have be a major impediment to Trump's legislative agenda. Republicans have only a couple weeks in Texas to act because special sessions in Texas last just 30 days. I guess the current one is already going. If they don't approve the maps in time because of a Democratic walkout or another reason, Governor Abbott could call a new special session and restart the 30-day clock. Also, as we've mentioned, Democratic-controlled states such as California, Illinois, and New York are exploring options to retaliate by redrawing their own lines to give their party more House seats if Texas approves new maps. Now, how many states might end up redrawing stuff? I have no idea. I do not know. Could we have a lot of states redrawing their maps before the 2026 election in response to each other? It's a good question. I don't know how many. Why are they going to Illinois? Well, they have to go somewhere. They can't go nowhere. So they have to pick somewhere to go. Illinois is a solidly Democratic state. What just happened here? That was weird. Oh. I had my eye on a camera. I can't use that feed. I had my eye on a camera from Fox 4 Dallas that was like at the podium. And now the camera's outside, so I don't know what happened there. I wasn't watching that feed, so I don't know what happened there. I don't know if they said get out until the press conference or they moved the press conference or what. Maybe they're waiting for the lawmakers to show up. TJ Adams says, where else would they go but to one of the few blue states? That's what TJ says. Yeah, the press conference has not started yet. Army vet says it's not a given that 5 seats will be gained. That is true. Trump won all 30 of the proposed districts in Texas by 10 points or more in 2024, says the Washington Post, making it extremely difficult for Democrats to win any of them. But that doesn't mean they wouldn't. We are waiting for hopefully a press conference soon. I'll show you what another Texas House Democrat had to say earlier. Here's another Texas House member who posted a video about why she is fleeing the state and breaking quorum. The Texas House Democrats said breaking quorum, again, a quorum is the minimum number needed to hold a vote. So they don't have that with all of these legislators fleeing the state. Breaking quorum is not a decision we take lightly. However, when Governor Abbott chooses to withhold critical flood relief in order to advance a partisan agenda at the request of President Trump, they say, we are left with no choice. He had ample opportunity to prioritize disaster recovery earlier in the session, but instead chose to play political games. So it sounds like the House Democrats are saying, hey, the Republicans could have already passed flood relief in this special session already, rather than waiting until they passed, until the redistricting was passed. That's what they're saying. So here is Donna Howard, who is a Texas state rep, on why she has fled the state.
Hi, I'm State Rep. Hi, I'm State Representative Donna Howard from House District 48 here in Travis County, joining the quorum break because we are doing everything we can to stop this sham of a map redrawing that is not about helping the people of this state. It's a pure power grab from President Trump. And Abbott and the Republicans are apparently all too willing to bend the knee and do whatever he asks, despite the fact that this will actually harm the voters here in Texas. The fact is that we've done everything we can. This was not our only option, but we've done everything, and this is all that's left to us to do because we have to take this to the whole country. What starts here in Texas is going to not just stop here. It's going to affect all of America. Hi,
So that's Donna Howard, who's a Democratic state legislator in Texas. Governor Abbott posted this today. He said, met with Representatives Baumgartner and Matt Morgan in Austin last week to talk about critical items on the special session agenda. We must pass Texans' priorities, including flood preparation and recovery legislation. So again, we have Republicans saying these Democrats who are fleeing are preventing us from passing the flood relief. And you have Democrats saying, no, they put the flood relief on the same docket as the redistricting to put pressure on us to stay there and to be able to criticize us if we left. That's the basic idea of an argument that's being made. Where is the... Yeah, see, in this post, Texas House Democrats said, instead of putting flood victims have been waiting weeks for Governor Abbott and the legislature to provide relief. Instead of putting their needs first, Republicans have chose to use the tragedy as political cover. That's what House Democrats in Texas are arguing. All right. Again, it looks like maybe this press conference is starting shortly, but it has not started yet. Texas House Democrats going to give a press conference in Illinois. It was supposed to originally be over an hour ago. Marie Burns thinks Democrats won't get votes from flood victims. Our viewer DC writes in, this is what DC said. DC says, population of counties in a state determine the amount of congressional districts. No more non-residents in a state would trigger a redistricting immediately. This is what is happening in Texas now. Well, they're not. That's what all right, anyways, I'm going to read you what DC says. The Democrats skirted the law for decades on this fact, ended up with many districts in their favor, and now they are getting a punch in the face when it takes 6 months to prove how corrupt both parties have been over this issue. So I believe that Texas Republicans are saying, they're not saying they're redistricting because the population has changed specifically. They're saying they're redistricting to benefit, to have more Republican seats. One of the articles I read had a quote from a Republican in there. So let me just go back. I'm not familiar with all the quotes that all the Republicans have said. But let me go back to, was it the AP article that had that quote? Because I read it earlier. Where is it here? One of the articles we read had it. Just to be clear. Yeah, the Washington Post article said Texas Representative Todd Hunter, the sponsor of the legislation to draw the new map, called the GOP proposal a good plan for Texas that would give his party more seats in Congress. The primary changes are focused on 5 districts for partisan purposes, he said in committee. I'm not aware that there's some other argument they're giving for doing this. Anyways, our viewer DC thinks that, if I'm interpreting DC right, DC thinks that both parties have been corrupt on this issue. That's what DC says. DC, thank you for writing in. XVEL thinks they are saying the quiet part out loud now. I have to go check and see if I can get any more quotes on that. I'm not familiar with the whole debate on this in the state. We're still waiting for the press conference, by the way. Mr. Robinson thinks it's kind of juvenile that they're leaving the state. So will we end up having this battle in multiple states where different states are doing redistricting all at once to try to get more seats for their side in the 2026 election? And how will this impact the 2026 election? I don't know. Hey, thanks to Sloppy Joe, our new member. Thanks also to Lee Finks. I'll say Lee Finks. Thanks for your support, who's not a fan of the Democrats. Thank you, Braden E. Nelson, our new member. Kimo Sabi, who says, if I refuse to show up for work, I get fired. Thanks, Rule, for your support, who says it only takes one rogue judge to issue arrest warrants. Again, I don't believe that Texas law enforcement would have any kind of jurisdiction to go to another state and arrest people. But, you know, the New York Times reported that some Texas House Democrats are worried that President Trump might try to do something with federal agents to bring them back to Texas. That is not something that I've heard President Trump say anything about so far, but we'll have to see what happens. Thank you, Joe, for your support. Joe thinks it's clear the Democrats hate the USA and will do anything for power. Glad to see the GOP grow a pair and fight back. That's what Joe says. Thank you, Alden, who says Democrats are not allowing cheating by Republicans to go unanswered anymore. Thanks, Alden, for your support. Thanks also, Douthis, for the gift sub. Spencer Biohazard for subscribing. Larry Picklejar, who says, Larry Picklejar says, let Trump send in the feds to drag back Democrats simply to push his gerrymandering scheme forward. I'm sure that will play great with swing voters for the midterms. Larry Picklejar seems to think it would not be good politics for Trump to try to use federal agents to bring the Texas legislators back to Texas. Thank you, Device X, for subscribing. Big Dog Gaming, thanks for your support. Thank you. I know I've said it before. The press conference has not started yet. I think this story could become, I don't think it's a small story now, but if we start seeing redistricting movements in other states, I don't think it's out of the question that President Trump could bring up the idea of using some sort of federal law enforcement to take action against the Texas legislators. I don't think it's, maybe he mentions it or something, which would be a huge story, so we'll have to see. Venom Platypus thinks California will be next. What if the election happens in 2026 and control of the House is determined by the redistricting one way or the other? What if that happens? Will B says Abbott will handle it. Trump won't get involved. Joseph Roy thinks Greg Abbott has the call, not Trump. Well, Trump is the one who has call over federal officials, federal law enforcement. You can see here, Reuters says Democratic lawmakers in Texas said today they are leaving the state to deny Republicans the quorum needed to redraw the state's 38 congressional districts, a move sought to protect the Republicans' narrow U.S. House majority in next year's midterm elections. President Trump has championed the redistricting plan, telling reporters he expects the effort to yield as many as 5 additional House Republicans. Republicans currently hold a 220 to 212 majority in the House of Representatives, with 3 Democratic-held seats vacant after members' deaths. A number of Texas Democrats have said they're headed to Illinois. There's supposed to be a press conference in Illinois shortly. States are required to redistrict every 10 years based on the U.S. Census, but the Texas map was passed just 4 years ago by the Republican-dominated legislature. While mid-cycle redistricting occasionally takes place, it is usually prompted by a change in power at the legislature, whereas one party or the other takes over the legislature. Republicans have pursued redistricting in a special legislative session that will also address funding for flood prevention in the wake of the deadly July 4th flash flooding that killed more than 130. I think they're doing flood relief legislation too, I think. Maybe I'm wrong about that. That's what I thought. Under the current lines, Republicans control 25 of the 38 seats, nearly 2/3 of the districts, in a state that went for Trump last year by 56% to 42%. Redistricting experts have said the plan could backfire if Republicans try to squeeze too many seats out of what is already considered a significantly skewed map. At the bottom it says Governor Abbott's office did not respond to a request for comment about the Democrats' move on Saturday, Sunday. I have not yet seen an official comment from Governor Abbott yet today after the Democrats announced they were leaving town. I'm sure he'll have something to say about it. Hey, thanks Mitchell Pilot for your support. I appreciate that. Still no press conference yet. Really want to show that to you. Hopefully I'll be able to. Matthew says anyone doing this is doing election fraud. I think I think Matthew is referring to the redistricting, but I'm sorry if I'm getting that wrong, Matthew. Linda F. thinks Republicans would do the same if it were the other way around. AD says the Republicans are unhappy with their own map. So one thing I do wonder, a question that comment suggests is, well, why didn't the Republicans just redraw the map like this 4 years ago? Now, I don't know the answer to that. What I don't know is, would 4 years, the way they're drawing the map now to squeeze out more Republican seats, 4 years ago, would they have felt like, whoa, this is going to be too much, it'll be too unpopular with some of the population, it'll be too politically difficult for us. Whereas maybe they don't feel that now, I don't know. Maybe they feel because they have the backing of Trump, it gives them political cover to do it. I don't know. It's a good question as to why would they draw it like this now and not 4 years ago. Lola P thinks it's weird about the press conference not happening yet. So maybe it took them a while. Maybe it took the Republican lawmakers longer than they thought to get to Illinois. In 2021, they withdrew in the Supreme Court Senate. Is that what happened? It got sent back in 2021? Some of our viewers are saying that they tried in 2021 and it got sent back. Let me look this up. I'm looking to see if I can find Wikipedia 2020s. It's an article called Redistricting in Texas. Does it talk about 2021? Republicans had full control of the legislature for the 2020 redistricting cycle. I don't see anything about the Supreme Court here, but I don't know. One of our viewers, Karina Davis, says there was no decision from the court on the 2021 map. I don't see anything about the Supreme Court here in the Wikipedia article. All right, hold on a moment. I think there might be about to be a press conference starting shortly in, I don't know that we'll have any video of it. I'm hoping the Texas Democrats, I would think they would show video of it. All right, hang on a moment here. It looks like things are about to get started, so hopefully I have access to some video. I have to check the different pages I'm looking on. Give me a moment here. Give me a moment here. I'm seeing some people get to the venue. I would just be surprised if the Texas Democrats didn't show this themselves. But maybe they won't. If I don't have access to it, I'll give you a link. It has not started yet, by the way. And President Trump has not posted about this yet. All right, it's not starting yet. I saw some, it looked like some of the legislators were showing up, but now they're not at the podium anymore. Carter Davis thinks that the members will stay out of the state for the 15 days remaining in the legislative session, and thinks that if Abbott calls another station, they might stay out of the state indefinitely. That I do not know if that'll happen. I don't think anybody knows. Also, Carter thinks that the Texas AG cannot arrest them. That's what Carter thinks, because it's not a matter of penal law. One of the articles mentioned that. I think one of the articles we read said it was a civil violation. It said, yes, AP said refusing to attend legislative session is a civil violation. So Democrats legally could not be jailed, and it's unclear who has the power to carry out the warrants. The state attorney general, Ken Paxton, has threatened to arrest them previously. Okay, hang on. It looks like this thing may be close to starting, possibly. Maybe. The other thing is that the camera I'm looking at that I don't have access to use, they don't have a great signal in there. It's not, it's a decent signal. And Nico says they can't be arrested if they're out of state. They can't be arrested by Texas law enforcement. AD says, how long can they camp out in Illinois? By the way, I believe they get fined $500 a day each for not being there. I don't know how long they're thinking about and what's realistic. So Ken Paxton responded to Gavin Newsom. So Ken Paxton had posted that Democrats in the Texas House who try and run away like cowards should be found, arrested, and brought back to the Capitol immediately. We should use every tool at our disposal to hunt down those who think they are above the law. Hunt down. Attorney General Ken Paxton of Texas. Gavin Newsom said, Ken Paxton was impeached for handing out favors to donors, faced a federal investigation for bribery, had to do community service and paid restitution. If he wants to talk about who he thinks is above the law, and he said he should look in the mirror. And then Ken Paxton responded, Gavin Newsom is so desperate to distract from his record of destroying California. You don't know the difference between boys and girls, so I'm not shocked you missed the fact that the witch hunts against me all failed because they were bogus, politically motivated lies the entire time. So they're going back and forth. As I have mentioned, anytime now, there's supposed to be a press conference of Texas House Democrats in Illinois. I'm hoping to be able to bring it to you. It was originally scheduled for an hour and a half ago. I have not seen any kind of official update as to the time. There is a podium. So I am very much hoping to have that for you. AP says how redistricting in Texas and other states could change the game for U.S. House elections. AP says redistricting usually happens after the once-in-a-decade population count by the U.S. Census Bureau or in response to a court ruling. Now Texas Republicans want to break that tradition, and other states could follow suit. Democrats in Texas's House have left the state today to prevent the House from voting on a redistricting plan pushed by President Trump. That would send 5 more Republicans to Washington after the 2026 midterm elections and make it harder for Democrats to regain the majority and blunt the president's agenda. The state has 38 seats in the House. Republicans now hold 25 and Democrats 12 with 1 seat vacant. A constitutional law scholar at University of Colorado, Doug Spencer, said, "There's been a lot more efforts by the parties and political actors to push the boundaries, literally and figuratively, to reconfigure what the game is. Other states are waiting to see what Texas does and whether to follow suit. The future of redistricting can be vague and variable. Each state has its own set of rules and procedures. Politicians are gauging what voters will tolerate when it comes to politically motivated map making." This is some interesting background. Every decade, the Census Bureau collects population data used to divide the 435 House seats among the 50 states based on the updated head count in each state. It's a process known as reapportionment. States that grew relative to others might gain a seat at the expense of those whose population stagnated or declined. States use their own procedures to draw lines for the assigned number of districts. The smallest states receive just 1 representative, which means the entire state is a single congressional district. Some state constitutions, I believe 8 of them, require independent commissions devise the political boundaries or advise the legislature. It's not the majority. When legislatures take the lead, lawmakers can risk drawing lines that end up challenged in court, usually for violating the Voting Rights Act. Map makers can get another chance to resubmit new maps. Sometimes judges withdraw the maps on their own. I don't know if the Texas map, if there's a chance it could be overturned for violating the Voting Rights Act. Is mid-cycle redistricting allowed, says AP. By the first midterm elections after the latest population count, after the latest census, each state is ready with its maps, but those districts do not always stick. Courts can find that the political lines are unconstitutional. There is no national impediment to a state trying to redraw districts in the middle of the decade and to do it for political reasons, such as increasing representation by the party in power. There's no federal law that says you can't do what Texas is doing right now. The experts said the laws about redistricting just say you have to redistrict after every census. And then some legislatures got a little clever and said, well, it doesn't say we can't do it more than that. Some states do have laws that would prevent mid-cycle redistricting or make it difficult to do so in a way that benefits one party. Gavin Newsom of California, the governor, has threatened to retaliate against the GOP push by drawing more favorable Democratic seats in his state. That goal, however, is complicated by a constitutional amendment that requires an independent commission to lead the process. So it's different in different states. Some more background here from AP. Is the Texas effort unprecedented? Texas has done it before. When the legislature failed to agree on a redistricting plan after the 2000 census, a federal court stepped in with its own map. Republican Tom DeLay of Texas, who was then the U.S. House Majority Leader, thought his state should have 5 more districts friendly to his party. I'm the Majority Leader and we want more seats, he said at the time. State House Democrats back in 2003 protested by fleeing to Oklahoma and depriving the legislature of enough votes to officially conduct business, but DeLay eventually got his way and Republicans replaced Democrats in 5 seats in 2004. Now a large chunk of Texas State House Democrats have decided to take the same route, heading to Illinois to break quorum. What do the courts say about gerrymandering in general? In 2019, the Supreme Court ruled that federal courts should not get involved in debates over political gerrymandering, the practice of drawing districts for partisan gain. In that decision, Chief Justice John Roberts said redistricting is highly partisan by any measure, but courts can and may demand new maps if they believe the congressional boundaries dilute the votes of a racial minority group in violation of the Voting Rights Act. Again, I do not know what the chances are if Texas goes with its current proposed new map, what are the chances that it could be overturned in the court for violating the votes of a racial minority? I do not know that. It's a good question. Let me just finish this article. It's an interesting article. Could other states follow suit? Washington Representative Susan DelBene, who heads House Democrats' campaign arm, indicated that if Texas follows through on passing new maps, Democratic-led states would look at their own political lines. If they go down this path, absolutely folks are going to respond across the country, DelBene said. We're not going to be sitting back with one hand tied behind our back while Republicans try to undermine voices of the American people. In New York, Democratic Governor Kathy Hochul recently joined California Governor Newsom in expressing openness to taking up mid-decade redistricting. But state laws in New York mandating independent commissions or blunting the ability to gerrymander would come into play. Among Republican-led states, Ohio could try to further expand the 10-5 edge the GOP holds in the House delegation in that state. A quirk in state law requires Ohio to redraw its maps before the next midterm. And Florida Governor Ron DeSantis said he was considering early redistricting and working through what that would look like. How many states will be doing this? Our viewer Krylon Commando thinks Ohio will flip 2 or 3 seats. That's Susan DelBene, or DelBene. I'm probably not pronouncing it right, in Washington. There's Governor Hochul, Governor Newsom, there's Texas. Hey guys, that press conference hasn't started yet. I'm sorry. It really was supposed to be at 7:15 Central Time. It is now 8:52 Central Time. Sean Mahoney, our viewer, says if the Republicans want to cheat, the Democrats have no choice but to also. Why don't just let the voters vote Republicans? Robin thinks all red states will be doing that. I don't know that all red states have the ability to do it, but maybe more will be. Bernie Nyberg says, thanks Texas Party for supporting democracy. More human than human, says Arizona. As an Arizonan, I'm so glad we don't have to deal with this. I believe Arizona is one of the states that mandates an independent commission do it. According to Washington Post, Arizona has a nonpartisan system for drawing maps, as does Michigan and some other states, but many other states don't. Thanks Young Gunna for the gift sub on Twitch. Thanks J-Tide for subscribing on Twitch. Thanks Tennessee Tornado, who thinks Tennessee Tornado thinks they chose to go to Chicago because Pritzker is going to run for president, and it's essentially a campaign event. Look, I think it's a fair point Tennessee Tornado is making, that both Governor Pritzker in Illinois and Governor Newsom, who have been prominent voices, I believe, against Texas doing this, are potential Democratic candidates for the presidency. Governor Newsom has definitely been critical of it. One of the articles we read said something about Pritzker too. Hold on, this is about to start. I think this is about to start. Now let me see. Somebody's got to be showing this, aside from one Texas channel. All right, hang on a moment, guys. Give me a second here.
I'll be the speaker.
I just can't imagine that the Texas Democrats would not be showing this on their social media. Give me a moment. Give me a moment here. It's getting close to starting. It hasn't started yet. Thanks to Kieran, by the way, for your support. And also thanks to Madamus11 for the gift memberships and Althea Thun for being a member. Hang on, it has not started yet, but it's getting close to starting. It'll be very strange if like no one is showing this. I'll give you a link to the camera I can't show if no one else is showing it. I'd be pretty shocked. Isn't the point of having it to show it? There are a bunch of people coming in the room now, by the way. So it has not started yet.
No, right here. No, why not? The short guy over here.
But what happens is also sometimes when it's posted by like a political account, they will post it right as it starts. They won't post it later. So I would not be at all surprised if I got the feed that it right as it starts. Hold on, I have a feed here. I have a feed that I'm going to use. Let's see here. From J.B. Pritzker's page. J.B. Pritzker's page. I think we're going to go with that. We'll try that. All right, hang on. Let me get it on the screen for you. Give me a second here. Give me a second here. Let me put a credit up there. I don't think there's volume yet on this feed. This feed has no volume yet. Hang on 1 second here.
Oh yeah, if we choose one thing right there. Perfect. Sorry?
Give me a moment. Give me a moment. Is this in Chicago? I know it's in Illinois. I guess it's in Chicago. There's no, now there's J.B. Pritzker right there. There's no volume. Here.
Thank you. Let me get Gotcha. Good evening. My name is Gene Wu. I'm a minority leader in the good evening. Texas. My name is and the leader Gene of the Democrats in the Texas House. We're not here to have fun. We're not here because this is easy, and we did not make the decision to come here today. We did not make a decision lightly. But we come here today with absolute moral clarity that this is absolutely the right thing to do to protect the people of the state of Texas. For the last few weeks, Texas families have been burying their loved ones who were killed in the very preventable tragedy that occurred in Central Texas. Over 100 Texans died, many of them very young souls. And all Texans across the state have asked for is that the legislature focus and spend its time taking care of the families who are grieving and helping the communities who are recovering to accomplish their goals. Instead, Governor Abbott has used this tragedy, taken these families who are grieving, taken these communities who are struggling to recover, and used them as hostages in a political game. It's been 2 weeks. They don't even have a bill filed to deal with what they promised to deal with. And instead, they have spent their entire time playing dirty political games that only help themselves. We have been a part of this corruption for too long. We have seen it too many times, where Republican leaders promise our communities that they will protect our families and do what is necessary, but time and time again, they say pretty words and then take care of themselves. Well, today, this corruption ends. Today, the people of the state of Texas have said enough. Enough of your games. Enough of your lies. Today, the corruption of Donald Trump and Greg Abbott ends. And next up, we'll welcome our former caucus chair, Trey Martinez-Fisher.
Thank you, Chair Wu. Thank you, Governor Pritzker. Thank you, Illinois. I think what my colleague is saying, that this statement, this quorum break, is not about the Democratic Party. It is about the democratic process. We from Texas are so familiar with the phrase of our Apollo 13 mission, Houston, we have a problem. Well, I say, America, we have a problem. The largest democracy in the world, and yet a Texas governor would bend a knee to Donald Trump because he's afraid to lose an election fair and square. He would rig these maps to have politicians pick voters so that he can not have to deal with a Congress that will provide oversight, accountability, and real checks and balances like our founders wanted us to. This is wrong, this is un-American, and this is undemocratic. In America, we need to wake up. Republicans are stealing our democracy right before our very eyes. But guess what? Texas Democrats are here, and we have a message for Donald Trump. Not on our watch.
Right.
We will not have our democracy taken on our watch. Never, ever, ever underestimate the will of the American people when it comes to protecting and preserving our democracy and our voting rights. And that is why we are here, and that's what this is about. From California to New York, from Illinois, Governor, to Texas. We are all in this together. We should wake up and rise up and speak out against this injustice, and it's time to go to work. And as they say back in Texas, I think it's time we need to cowboy up and get to work and push back. So we're pleased to be here. I had the good fortune of having Gene's job a few years ago where we had to make a quorum break. And my partner in crime who helped with that is our former Democratic Caucus Chair, and that is Chairman Chris Turner. Chris?
Thank you, Trey. So by denying the Texas House of Representatives quorum, we are using the power that we have as state legislators under the Texas Constitution to fight for our constituents. And we are all elected to fight for the people we represent. And that's exactly what we are doing here today. And I want members of the media to know that in addition to the legislators you see here in front of you today, here in Chicago, there are others who are joining us in Chicago shortly. We also have delegations of our caucus in Albany and in Boston who are meeting with leaders in those states to tell them what's happening in the state of Texas. And we also have several other members who are elsewhere, but they are not in Austin, and they are not going back to the Capitol. Together, we are united in this fight, and we are working to spread the word about what's happening in Texas. Donald Trump wants more power. That's what this is about. He wants to face no accountability and no consequences. And that's why he's demanding Texas rig our congressional districts. The people of Texas have made their voices very, very clear on this. Over the course of the last 10 days, thousands of Texans have turned out to make their voices heard in our House Redistricting Committee hearings. 99% of them, and I'm not exaggerating, 99% of them have demanded that we reject Trump's Texas takeover. So what did the Republicans do? What did the Republicans do in the face of all those people saying don't do this? They ignored them, and they did it anyway. And they've accelerated this plan, this scheme through the process, and that's why we are here tonight. There was a time when a Texas governor wouldn't be afraid to tell a president, any president, don't mess with Texas.
Right.
But Greg Abbott is too subservient and too weak to do that to Donald Trump. So Abbott and the Republicans in the legislature are dutifully following Trump's commands. And this is what this is about. They are engaged in an illegal act of intentional discrimination by tearing apart majority, minority congressional districts across our state. And we are not going to stand for it. So we are here to fight for the millions of Texans who don't want Trump's Texas takeover, and we're going to continue to fight for them, and we are here to fight back. I'm going to hand it back to Leader Wu.
Thank you so much, Chris. Up next, we're going to have Governor Pritzker, and before he comes up, we just want to say thank you to Governor Pritzker for welcoming us, and definitely someone who recognizes the need for us to fight, and also thank you to the people of Illinois for welcoming us as well. Thank you so much, Governor.
Well done. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate you. Thank you so much, Leader Wu. Good evening, everyone. A big thanks first to the DuPage County Democrats and their chair, Reed McCollum, for making this space available and hosting us here this evening. We're here to welcome the Texas House of Representatives Democratic Caucus and its leader, Gene Wu, to the great state of Illinois. I was honored to host all of you, a group of you, about 9 days ago, and to learn about the challenges that you might potentially face. And frankly, I wish that we were greeting you under better circumstances today. But instead, we know that you are making great sacrifices to resist the power grab that's being perpetrated by Donald Trump, by Governor Abbott, and by Texas Republicans. You are answering one of the most challenging calls of public service that has ever been asked of you. And you've had to leave behind your families, your full-time jobs, your communities, and you did it to protect the voting rights of the people that you represent and voters all across this nation. Tonight, along with the Speaker of the Illinois House, the President of the Illinois Senate, and millions of Illinoisans, we are very pleased to welcome you and to stand in solidarity with you and send a clear message to all Americans. We will not let power go unchecked, or let your voices and their voices go unheard. Over the past few months, my political team and I have been in direct and regular contact with the Texas Democratic Caucus. In late June, I was able to spend time with the Texas Democratic Party Chair, Kendall Scudder, who traveled all the way from Dallas to prepare for this exact possibility. Last week, I was honored to host Chair Wu and members of his delegation for a frank discussion about what was at stake and how Illinois could help. I want to level set with you about what is happening in Texas and how it affects us all, and why we are grateful that our friends from Texas are here tonight. Since Donald Trump came into office, he has taken calculated and explicit steps to grab unprecedented power and to silence his dissenters. He has ignored federal orders, federal court orders, encroached on states' rights, and he has strained our Constitution. As his cruel agenda reared its ugly head, Trump saw his poll numbers tanking and has begun to see that Republicans will likely lose control of Congress in 2026. When you try to tear health care away from veterans and seniors and people with disabilities, and stop food assistance for the most vulnerable working families in America, and raise prices on everyday groceries, all to fund tax breaks for the wealthiest people in this country, then voters are likely going to throw your party out. So Trump came up with a new scheme, rig the system by ramming through a corrupt mid-decade redistricting plan that would steal 5 congressional seats, silencing millions of voices, especially black and Latino voters. Let's be clear, this is not just rigging the system in Texas. It's about rigging the system against the rights of all Americans for years to come. Now, Texas Republicans submitted to the president's orders and took steps to advance Trump's Texas takeover. And while Texas Democrats have been trying to work across the aisle to deliver disaster relief after the devastating floods in central Texas, Republicans chose to use the tragedy as political cover to cheat. That brings us to today. Texas Democrats were left no choice but to leave their home state, block a vote from taking place, and protect their constituents. This is a righteous act of courage, and we can all take a page from these leaders' playbook. When you show people that you have the will to fight, well, they can muster the will to fight too. Right. Courage is contagious. I am very proud that Illinois Democrats have been in this fight from day one of Donald Trump's presidency. In the coming days and weeks, Illinois will partner with the Texas House Democratic Caucus to put a spotlight on the danger that Trump and Texas Republicans pose to all Americans. To be in public office right now is to constantly ask yourself, how do I make sure that we're standing on the right side of history? There's a simple answer. The history will always tell you to be afraid. The right side of history will always expect you to be courageous. Expect courage from people around you, and it will show up. Expect fear, and fear will rule the day. Let the courage of these leaders be an example to the rest of the country. I'm proud to stand side by side with our friends from Texas today, and we'd be happy to take your questions.
Mr. Wu, can you talk about what is going to happen if you make it through the 19th and then another special session is called? Are you prepared to stay? Is the whole group prepared to stay here through multiple special sessions?
So look, whatever strategy we choose, whatever tactics we figure out as we move on, the only thing we have in our minds is what do we need to do to protect Texans? What do we need to do to protect Americans? And what each and every one of us has said is that we will do whatever it takes. That what that looks like, we don't know. But we're here. We're committed to this, right? We're all away from our families that we've already been away from for 6 months because of the legislature. That we've been away from our jobs. We've not earned a lot of income this entire year, and our salary for being in the legislature is $600 a month. So this is not a decision, again, that we take lightly. And all the things that we are doing right now, we're doing it because we feel that this is the only way we can protect Texans. This is the only way we can protect Americans, and that we would ask everyone else, if you want to protect this country too, come join us.
Hey, Governor, just want to get your reaction.
Jeremy.
John Curran, the Illinois Senate Republican leader, he issued a statement today. He called your hosting of the Texas Democrats, quote, the height of hypocrisy, end quote, since you had supported independent map making and pledged to veto a gerrymandered map. He also called the state's Illinois' current congressional map shameless in its attempt to remove choice from voters. He said Illinois Democrats should be focused on strengthening democracy here in our state with fair maps instead of chasing national headlines by intervening in other states. What's your reaction to everything that Leader Curran said about this matter?
Well, let me be clear. We passed a map in Illinois that follows the Constitution, and that is not what Governor Abbott is trying to do in Texas. We believe that the people of Texas deserve to have fair representation and not to have the game changed in the middle of the decade. There already is litigation about the original map that they put in place, Now they want to change it again. That no doubt will end up being litigated too. But let me be clear that they are attempting to cheat. And you know, I think we all know Donald Trump is a cheater. Yeah. So is the Attorney General of Texas, Ken Paxton, in so many ways. And we here in Illinois believe that we're, you know, what is 2025? We've had elections now for, you know, the 5 years that this map has been in place. We want to continue to have those fair elections, and we're proud of the fact that Democrats do better than Republicans in those districts where they're hyper-competitive, frankly, and we won in virtually every one of those districts that was competitive.
But when you look at a map that's 14-3,
yeah, but you're talking about the outcome, Paris. You're talking about the outcome. Look, the fact that we are very good in Illinois about delivering for the people of Illinois and that people react to that and vote for our candidates is very different than cheating mid-decade by rewriting the rules because their cult leader, Donald Trump, tells them to do it.
Both talked about the possibility of redistricting there. Would you accuse them of also cheating if they do so?
You know, remember, all bets are off when the cult leader and, you know, would-be dictator of the United States tells Texas to midstream change the game when they know that they're going to lose in 2026. All bets are off. Everything's got to be on the table, and that So
But how is it cheating in one sense and not cheating in another?
the cheating here is the fact that we are midstream in 2025, and they want to rewrite the map, and for only one reason. The cult leader of their party tells them to do it because he knows he's going to lose control of the House of Representatives.
Attorney General Ken Paxton said Democrats in the Texas House who try and run away like cowards should be found, arrested, and brought back to the Capitol immediately. We should use every tool at our disposal to hunt those down who think that they're above the law. Just reaction to that.
We follow the rules.
Oh, well, they're right. I love that. The members behind me said it all. Look, they're here in Illinois. We're going to do everything we can to protect every single one of them and make sure that, because we know they're doing the right thing. We know that they're following the law. It's Ken Paxton who doesn't follow the law. It's the leaders of Texas who are attempting not to follow the law. They're the ones that need to be held accountable.
What conversations have you had about sticking together, knowing what happened in 2021, where this holdout ended after 38 days because some Democrats defected?
So, look, I mean, I think we've discussed this among ourselves enough times that I hope everyone understands that this is not 2021. The world that we're living in today is vastly different. The threats to not only our state, but to our entire country, but to the very concept of what America is, this is a different day. The danger that is posed to the American people is not the same. If Donald Trump is allowed to do this, if he is allowed to once again cheat and get away with it, there's no stopping this. This will spread across the country. And just as people say it is distasteful for blue states to do this as well, but this will occur everywhere. Because if one person's going to cheat and no one's going to stop it, why doesn't everyone just do it then? And that is not a society, that is not an America that works for everybody. Everyone is already tired of the hyper-partisan bickering and all the fighting because we never get anything done. And they are creating a system that will reinforce that and make it even worse. And we're telling people, please come out, stand up against it, rise up and say no more, enough.
Was there a moment that set this in motion? When did you all collectively decide to leave the state?
So look, there's not a single moment. And throughout this process, Democrats repeatedly tried to work with Republicans on this, asking them, please, could you just at least show us the maps? Could you at least give us an idea of what you're thinking about, what you're doing? Could you please just at least file the bill to do the flooding relief? Just do something. Stop hiding the ball. Stop doing things in secret. Stop shutting people down. Stop not trying to silence our communities, but actually be effective in silencing the communities, because after they gave 48 hours 48 hours after they finally revealed the maps, for the public to drive 6-7 hours across the state to come testify. And they were given 2 minutes each, and they had, some people waited 15 hours to testify. And we didn't even finish the testimony. And we asked them, could you please go out and ask? And they said, like, oh, well, this is not, the people who testified are not reflective of the opinions of the people of the state of Texas. Then I said, why don't you go out and do more hearings and let people have their say? They refused. Because this entire thing is corrupt. It's a sham process. It's just meant to just have the tiny amount of transparency that they can pretend that's there, and then they hide the ball and get away with whatever they want to get away with. If they are allowed to go unchecked, if this is allowed to go unchecked, this is going to spread across our country and rip it apart.
Governor, could you tell us how many people are here, how many representatives are here, and how many might be coming from New York and Boston?
We'd have to get the numbers.
Governor, would you, as a private citizen or through your Think Big America organization, or urging the DPI, would you cover the $500 a day fines that add up when the Texas legislators are missing?
Look, what they're doing is the right thing. They have a right to raise money, by the way, to support their endeavor. And I'll be clear. I mean, I haven't done that. We've done everything in terms of logistics to support, to welcome them. And again, I continue to support the endeavor that they've undertaken here. Others have already done some of that.
Do you think you're going to financially support them as this goes on?
I can't answer that. I can only tell you that I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that they're welcome here, that they have the ability to stay as long as they need to and want to, and we're glad that they're here.
And frankly, there's no need, because the outpouring of support from people, from Americans around the country, the outpouring of support, like since we've landed, I have gotten, my phone has not stopped ringing, of people texting us, like, keep going, tell us what you need, give me the donation link.
What is the donation link, by the way? Yeah, we'll know that in a moment.
To beat this, you would have to stay out of the state serially for months, potentially. Are you committed to doing that if it's as corrupt and undemocratic as you say? And if you're not certain, is there value in slowing this down rather than stopping it?
Yeah, so again, we don't know what the next steps are. We're trying to take this day by day. We have never given up trying to talk to our colleagues on the other side. We've never stopped trying to have negotiations and try to work out something that will actually benefit the people of Texas. And we will continue to do that. We'll continue to try. And again, I don't care what it is. The people here are risking their lives, are risking their safety. We had the Attorney General has threatened us. The Governor has threatened us. We have members of our body have threatened us. And people take this very seriously. And people are committed to doing what it takes. And that's it.
What are the next steps? What are the next steps? Are you gonna be here tomorrow, raising more awareness about this? How are you gonna still attend to the duties of the people in Texas? I mean, aside, or like what are the next steps for you?
No, I think.
No, I mean like the regular legislative duties and all that, like for folks in your district. Like what are the next steps here, basically?
I don't understand.
Day by day activity.
Yeah.
Day by day.
Well, we will have morning. We'll have press releases in the morning. We'll tell you what we're doing.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Governor, thanks so much.
It's stopthetexastakeover.com. Stopthetexastakeover.com.
Yeah, I meant folks in your district. Basically. Yeah, like still attending to this.
House representatives who have fled the state. A bunch of them have gone to Illinois, although some of them have gone to Boston, Albany, and at least one other location. But that was Governor J.B. Pritzker of Illinois, Democratic governor, hosting Democratic state representatives, a bunch of them, who have left the state of Texas. Why? So to just rehash this, because I know some people came to the stream late. In Texas, the Republican-controlled state legislature in Texas is trying to redraw the congressional map in the congressional districts, the map of congressional districts in Texas. That's the map of the part of Texas that each U.S. House of Representatives member represents.